And Black Bean Simpson. Today, what I'm going to be talking about, this is I guess you could say a hypotenuse I've been kind of thinking about, working in my head. I have come across a few things that have supported the idea that what I'm going to talk about. And as you can see, not the skeleton so much as the teeth. We're going to talk about teeth and what's the difference between the teeth now, modern times, in the last 100 years or so, compared to the thousands of years before modern times. And one of the things I want to bring attention to is that majority of people's teeth nowadays, especially in first world nations, don't have jawlines that match. Their bottom jawline does not match their upper jawline. As you can kind of see with this skeleton right here, this old skeleton, you can see even the front teeth, as it's at rest, it perfectly lines up essentially with the top teeth. The bottom jaw teeth match up pretty flush with the top teeth. Now you don't really find this in nations that are I in general are just more modern, especially with the types of foods and stuff. And I wanted just to go through this. I think this is a serious issue that is not being addressed properly through the orthodontist, through just essentially the medical field. Some are it seems like it. I did find one orthodontist kind of talking about it, or actually talking. I can't find it at the moment though. Um, what's just interesting is that it seems as though orthodontists are more wanting to do in the moment work in your mouth rather than telling you how to prevent it. It's like more, here's medication of some sort or surgeries or procedures like braces for instance, rather than this is how you can prevent it from happening. Uh, there's really no preventive talk about why essentially teeth are not looking like this. Why most jawlines set back and teeth are really crooked. A lot of people's front teeth tend to bend back, and they don't always go even with the top teeth. The question is, why is this? As I click through here, I can give examples. Look how perfect these teeth pretty much match up. These are incredibly old skulls. At the same time, as you look through the side of these molders back here, these just the very back molders start from the front where that cracked tooth is. Count that cracked tooth: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the seventh tooth on the top, on the back there, that's would be his wisdom. And the question, why is the wisdom teeth are so nice? They're so, and the answer is essentially is this jawline is extended forward, which allows more space for those wisdom teeth to come in. So wisdom problems is a modern issue. And again, what is causing that? What's causing our jawline to shrink back? And causing all these mouth issues. I mean, there's a population of humans that still exist that have on an average of 20 teeth. And then the average American essentially has like 16 teeth. But what's happening to our teeth? I am going to get to that. We'll address that as we can see as I move along. The teeth of ancient people seem to be very even in a sense. Match up, no extreme crookedness. You might get a slight tooth out of place here and there, but it's not to the extreme of what you find in modern times. In modern times, you find some extreme teeth. It's not being properly addressed, in my humble opinion. I mean, these are ancient skulls that are showing that humanoids previously, and still there's some humanoids out there that have perfect jawlines, essentially. And we're getting more teeth like this. This is something that you wouldn't find on average, and I can show worse, but I'm not going to, as some jawlines are not the prettiest looking. But it's you don't really find even this out of alignment in ancient teeth, and also how narrow, close they are from one molar to the other side of the molars. And these old skulls, you can see there's a huge gap between each side, essentially, of the bottom jaw. If you go across from one molar all the way across the jaw to the other molar, there's a lot more distance, a lot more space. So the jaw on the bottom is wider. Whereas you can kind of see right here, the teeth back on the left side compared to the right side on the bottom, they're narrower, they're closer, which is causing the teeth in the middle to compress, which is causes all this um, uh, displacement of how the teeth should set up. Again, the question is, what's causing this? Genetic, environment, both. And this is here an example of the first, second, and third molar. In recent times, uh, our wisdom teeth, our last molar that comes in, usually in our late teens, young adulthood. Usually they're out by the time they're 25. So if you don't have them pulled out by then, or if they're not already out, most likely going to have some serious issues, and have really serious issues if it starts to fuse to your bone or wraps around the nerve on your jawline. It can cause some serious issues. So if you have a small jawline, I recommend you get the nearest orthodontist, dentist, essentially, and have them pulled. Even if they're not bothering you, get the doctor to pull them. They will cause you issues if you have crooked teeth, you already have a small jawline. Again, we can see here how it's just there's even a lack of cavities. I'm not saying they didn't have cavities back then. There's a lack of cavities. Some of these people are in their 30s, 40s when they passed away. And if you know most 30s and 40 years old, they at least have one or two cavities, especially in the front or something. But you just don't see it like how you do in modern times. I mean, I don't have one family member essentially who doesn't have cavities. In fact, I have some family members that have had to have their teeth completely pulled out due to mouth issues. So this is a recent problem, and we don't really know why. But we do know that from a lot of the fossil findings, stuff along those lines, anthropologists, they find skulls back 200,000 years ago. I shouldn't say skulls, teeth, and these teeth uh, seem to be similar but yet different. But yet when they find jaw lines that are exceeding thousands of years old, they always seem to be in better shape than a lot of people's teeth nowadays. Like when the person died, their teeth were as good as you'd find usually someone that's in their middle teens. Like once they lose all their baby teeth and have their adult teeth grow in, like those young adults, those teens essentially, this is how most of the ancient people's teeth were out. They were always nice. They were perfect like and had nice solid jawlines. And there was three distinct people before the modern people nowadays. You got the Homo erectus, Neanderthals, you had the Denisovans. And we don't know essentially how those people completely integrated and how we essentially got our teeth from these uh, essentially these subgroups that we came from some way or form. But it it it's definitely a recent problem with how teeth are. It's not an ancient problem. They did do, if I can find it real quick, did do um I'm at right here. I think there might be even better. But they did do like jewelry work. So my point on the jewelry work and the way that they did dentist type of work back thousands of years ago, they would drill into your teeth and lay jewelry. And yet we find those people either, I mean, these people are alive when some of this stuff is done. This isn't done after you die and they just do this artwork on you after you die. No, this is like artwork that's done while you're alive because of your prestigeness, because of your royalty or your ancestry. And you would have these things done to your teeth. Well, if teeth, in my humble opinion again, were a huge problem back then, I don't think they would just be destroying their teeth if people were just constantly dying from teeth problems or teeth were just falling out or causing all these issues. I don't think they would attack their teeth like, or at least I shouldn't say attack, but they did work like artwork on their teeth, um which eventually will destroy your teeth. And when you're drilling into your teeth, you're essentially exposing the inside. As soon as you expose the inside, you're pretty much killing off that tooth. And that when that tooth is exposed in that way, the way that the tooth heals itself pretty much loses that ability. So jewelry artwork to teeth back thousands of years ago wasn't something done until there were later, but also they must have seen teeth as everlasting, like not an issue, or very few issues that come from it. For them to feel it was safe enough to just drill in your teeth and lay emeralds and rubies and stuff into them. So came across this person, Evolution of Bite, and what he brings up, which is pretty much what I've been coming to a conclusion. And there's many people I talk to about this. Um, I pick people's heads about it, see what they think about it. Many people don't, they really don't know how to respond to it or even how to even really rationalize around it or think about it. But one thing's for certain: when I say that anthropologists can't find ancient skeletons that show the same issues with teeth of modern humans, most of them are like they had no idea, and at the same time they're kind of shocked. Like, and their question is why? Well, that's where we're gonna get to. That's where. And in this book, he pretty much talks about, does that mean going to see paleo diets where you chew on tough grass or or paleo jaw workouts? So he pretty much saying is, and in this book, I'm not going to go through this, but what this pretty much is talking about is that having the type of environments back in the day where we didn't cook food like the way that we cook food now, plus we are more of a heavily, especially in developed countries, you're heavily carb and sugar based now, and cornstarch and that based type of foods. So the rawness and the toughness of food is just pretty much non-existent in developed countries, which is where you see most of these teeth issues. Because as soon as you go into tribal areas that don't deal with much modern people and they still have to go and hunt and gather and track their food down, their teeth and their jawline seems to be incredibly different to ours, to modern people, to I shouldn't say modern, to developed nation people. And again, why is this? I mean, yes, we already know the food is different. It's softer in this area than it is in this area, which is possibly the cause. But why in such a short period of time? And I mean, in such a short period of time, you'd think that there could be distinct differences among many different parts of a human body. The teeth can be, from one generation have perfect teeth, and then in the next generation, because of the foods that they eat, suddenly their teeth are not shaping up the same way, which then when they breed to having another child, their teeth start off not having a strong jawline. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't really see many kids with parents and if the kid has a weak jawline, that the parent has a super strong jawline. It just doesn't exist. Or at least not from my observations. And I'm not saying all people are like this. It's the majority. Probably that 80-20 rule. 80% of people who are born already with to parents that have sloped jawlines, a jawline that's pushed back, not as wide, and have crooked teeth, their children are probably going to be born with some of those issues. Again, why is this? Why is it? So we went over essentially the ancient people and where we kind of got our teeth from, but yet why is the modern people of now, people nowadays in developed countries and nations, why to the modern humans that come from the Neanderthals, Denisovans, and the Homo erectus, why why is these new teeth that we have in the last 100 years, why in the developed countries, why, and mostly in developed countries, not all developed countries, some undeveloped countries are suffering these issues, um, but why is suddenly this huge problem? I mean, majority of people have to go to the dentist nowadays and have teeth work, usually to do with cavities. Ancient people didn't have that. Ancient people didn't have dentists to constantly go to and have cavities filled. In fact, they didn't. They had such few cavities back then. And my argument essentially is leading to sugars and carbs and genetics. It's where I'm leading to. Uh, Sugars and carbs is not found in heavy doses throughout nature. Not one. Genes play a major role on the essentially the evolution of how your jawline is. One of my main essentially arguments to why teeth are now being more crooked is because of the food. But it's also because our mouth tends to be the fastest evolution part of our body. Our body evolves differently in different parts, and it needs to do this to adapt to the environment. Right now, the environment is calling for less jawline, less teeth, less strength in the jaw, less width to the jaw because of the food and resources that we're consuming. Because of this new resources, our genes are trying to adapt to that new form of resource for us. And when it comes to mutations, this is what you're gonna get. You're gonna get people who are now born with underdeveloped jaw lines because genetics is trying to figure out where it needs to go with that. And another side of this is uh, essentially sexual attraction. And I don't have anything up about this, but strong jaw lines are a identifier to sexual attraction. Like, the more symmetrical your jawline, the more prominent your jawline is as a male, uh, women are attracted to that for whatever reason, which I have an idea why, but women are attracted to that strong jawline, and men are attracted to that nice triangle pattern to women. Now, maybe women are attracted to us with that same type of triangle pattern, but the question is, why is that triangle pattern from the eyes to onto your jaw, pointed to your jaw? Why is that such a meaningful sexual attraction for humans? Why is that something that we identify as the more perfect that is, more perfect symmetrical that triangle pattern is, the more attractive you are? Why is this? And my answer to that is, the better the jawline means, the better your genetics is. Means your genetics isn't in a state of flux, isn't in a state of like super mutations of trying to discover what is best. And also, a strong jawline just 1,000 years ago meant that you could essentially hunt and gather food and eat properly. Essentially, weren't from a malnourished family, and I think that helped women identify that, and men, as well as men, was able to identify that with women. Where a woman has a nice triangle shaped pattern face from their eye to the jawline, that which makes them attractive. The more perfect that is, tells a man subconscious. This is all subconscious now. Tells a man essentially not that how hot she is, but how healthy she is, and more how healthy the genes are. Uh, I think that's why our jaws are the way they are, and why they play in the role of, or why they evolve the way they do. At the same time, why they're sexual, um, maybe not so much sexual, but more like, what would be the two humans that are going to have good birthing? They're going to be able to mate and have good, strong, healthy babies. Those are identifiers for knowing that you're mating with a healthy mate, essentially. It's kind of like how animals go about mating themselves. Some birds puff up, make themselves nice and big to make them seem more dominant. Well, that's kind of like the same thing with the jaw. The stronger the jawline, bigger the man, whatever, the more dominance that person has, and essentially, the more perfect the woman's face is. Just for a man, that just means it's better genetics, better, uh, better outcome to the breeding process. And I wanted to go down here. This person also has a question of why crooked teeth. And I chuckled when I came across this. I was like, it says right here, I remember asking my wife not to cut our daughter's meat into such small pieces. When they were young, let them chew, I begged. She replied that she'd rather pay for braces than have them choke. I lost that argument. Weak, weak male right there. That, I just gotta say, gotta say, that guy is weak. You don't let the woman take control of situations like that. That's, if you know what is best for the child's future, you don't allow someone to go, well, I'm going to ruin their future and I'll kind of correct it with a band-aid later on, which is the braces. Just because of my feelings. Just so my feelings are in good process, good company, essentially. I won't have this idea of letting my children chew and eat on bigger foods than I would like them to have, because I feel that I might lose my children because of them choking. To me, it's just the weakest argument that I could ever hear why you would want to have a healthy child. And what I mean by that is that essentially, if you know the process of having a completely 100% healthy child in every aspect of medically, why would you at all divert that? For any reason, why would you do that? I mean, it has to be beyond more than feelings. I mean, that has something to do with their own childhood at that point. But that's a whole other story. I just thought that's as weak. That guy was just as weak as probably his own jawline, if not sloped jawlines, crooked jawlines. But what's interesting is that this is a question that's being asked from me about why crooked teeth exist. I'm not the only one who's asking this, which is nice. I brought this attention to a lot of people. I'm not an orthodontist. I'm not just some observer. I worked in the restaurant business, so I used to see a lot of moles, essentially. And I've seen all different types, strong to weak. And I always wonder why some of these people who have extremely sloped jawlines, or jawlines that are really short and narrow or whatever, why those exist, and whereas ones are super wide, strong, very long, just really strong jawlines. Why those drastic differences? Why is it that you go into certain cultures, they're almost all picture perfect the same? Like if you take one, if you just essentially took a picture from their nose down to their neck, let's go. Really, what's probably only going to be really difference that you're going to see, like super difference, is the neck. And possibly not even that. Like, as long as they're the same gender, a lot of the jawlines and like tribal people, they're almost very similar. They're not that far different. Whereas if you go into, like, say, the Dutch or the Europeans or the British or Scottish or the Irish, their jawlines, some jawlines will be the same. But once you get into more of the developed areas, it's like a diverse of jaws, a bunch of same group of people, yet they all have a different form of jawline. And I keep on reaching to the fact that it's the type of foods that we're eating. We're not essentially exercising the jawline. We're not stressing the teeth like we once were. We weren't stressing out the bottom of our face like we once were, which causes not only muscle to grow, but the bone to grow. And with these two things growing, it helps align the teeth in certain ways and in the correct way, and it allows us to not have certain other issues that come with shortings of jaws, or the jaws being narrow, causing severe crooked teeth or having your wisdom pulled out. This is a medical issue that I'm hoping that will be solved to the extent of, rather than dentists not talking about it, but rather than when you bring your kid in, one of their first questions is, do you allow them to chew up their food, and what types of food do you allow them to chew up? And that literally should be one of the very first questions. As an orthodontist, you should want to know the types of foods that child is eating, especially if the child is showing signs at an early age before they get in their adult teeth that there's a weakness to their jaw. If their jaws slope down, if their jaws are short, if their jaws are narrow, the question is what are their parents feeding to them? Are they still at 4 years old sucking on the nipple essentially? That is a huge problem. And we know for a fact that nooks and whatnot in the mouth of a baby for over a certain period of time causes the teeth to bend back. That in itself shows that stuff that's not properly put in your mouth will cause damage to your teeth. So if that's the case in that sort of bit of period of time, if over 20 years of just eating soft foods, what do you think is going to happen? You're probably going to have a whole lot of teeth issues. If you like this podcast, please like and subscribe. If you didn't like this podcast, please still like and subscribe. Comment down below. Tell me what you think about this video, your advice, whatever. Just say hi if you like. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.